So why do we even still embalm bodies?
It's because it's predatory business. I mean, in all honesty, let's say a family comes to me and I'm like, oh, so you want to bury grandma in the ground with, there's bugs down there. There's dirt in there. Don't you want her to last? You've seen on TV how human bodies decay. Do you want grandma to look like that? And so it preys on fear of what death is, what dead body is. So and the less people talk about death, the more removed we get from it, and the more death becomes this boogeyman of like, oh, corpses, skeletons, horrible things, not for me, not for mom. No, just have her, preserve her.
Right.
Interesting.
Seems a little more horrific to dig down there in 2 years and find grandma than it would be to find a decomposed body. But sorry, go ahead, Kara.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say, it seems like hearing this, the way we do death today in the U.S. seems like it's subject to a lot of sort of capitalistic pressures that would be the same everywhere. Is that the case, or are there still cultural differences today in terms of the way we do this?
There's still a lot of cultural differences. I know the U.S. takes it to the extreme because even in other English-speaking countries, embalming is not very popular. You still have the casket and you have the vault, but embalming is a very U.S. thing. We invented it, we promoted it, we started it to get bodies in the Civil War. Suddenly they're dying far, far, far distances. So we invented it to try and preserve the bodies to give Civil War funerals. But, I mean, it's becoming more capitalistic in different cultures. I know in China right now, the population's growing, space is growing limited. So if you live in Beijing or Shanghai, you don't have spaces to bury. So you do cremation, which is traditional. But there's no place there's no mausoleums, no places that can be dedicated to death because land is at such a premium. So a lot of families can't go and pay their ancestral respects to the bodies. So what they're inventing now in China is kind of like little Tamagotchis where you have a digital grave that the funeral home assigns you, and like taking care of a Tamagotchi pet. Time to clean, time to put offering on the grave, but it's all a digital like app. So you can continue the family legacy of honoring your ancestors, but it kind of fills that problem of there's no space and there's actually no place to honor your ancestors anymore. So it's happening around the world.
So you push a button to clean a digital space as though you're honoring your dead ancestors.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Huh. Well, that's a weird one. That's going to be a hard one for a lot of people here to swallow.
The U.S. is blessed with lots of land, so I don't see it being a problem here in the near future. But other places are having lots and lots of problems, especially smaller countries or very populated countries.
Well, I just watched a new series on Netflix based on the original Japanese movie that The Grudge was on, called Ju-on Origins or whatever.
Sure.
And she went to basically pay respects to somebody who had died, and she went into a place where it was like a library, multiple shelves, and on one shelf was an urn, and that was hers, and it was surrounded by all these other people who would go in there and pay respects to their urns, and I thought it was weird, but also kind of cool, and I figured that was a lack of space thing going on there.
It is. Japan's actually very advanced, surprise, surprise, very advanced technologically with it. They have these places, officially like in the business, all those urns in a big, bookcase. We call it a columbarium. And what they do is that you can go, you have this key card that you're given, by the funeral industry, by the columbarium. And you go in there, you see all the different urns, you put in your key card in the system, pull it out, and it kind of Tetris moves so that it brings your family's urn, the one attached to the key card, directly down to face level. So you can have like a super high up in, the third story spot. How are you going to, ever get in contact with that? They have it to where it's just motorized and it moves down.
It's like dry cleaning.
It's a lot like dry cleaning.
It's wild.
Welcome to the